The unimaginable has happened in Mike Tyson's recently leaked sparring footage. This time, Mike Tyson wasn't on his feet training and sparring, but on the ground after receiving some devastating hits. This has come as a huge shock, especially to those who have tipped the baddest man on the planet for a huge win against the problem child. Let's get right in. The much anticipated bout between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul has lacked no action and talking points ever since its announcement on March 8th. Both boxers severally have forced themselves into arguments and insults even in the unlikeliest situation. However, one thing we can't rule out of boxing is the impact of natural occurrences. While so many arguments and tension can be sparked up intentionally by either of both of the fighters, there are also natural causes that can't be disputed. These natural causes affect matches and build-ups and create controversies as well. In some instances, they could have so much effect in the eventual cancellation of a match. One of such natural interferences is the scare of Mike Tyson's health in the upcoming bout with Jake Paul on July 20th. Mike Tyson hasn't had the best precautions when it comes to the use of hard drugs, and his recklessness with hard drugs have backfired after doctors have deemed him unfit to fight against Jake Paul. Their reasons centered on the fact that Tyson risked a brain injury by going into the fight. More so, the injury becomes more damaging if the victim has past experiences with drugs and alcohol. Interestingly, Iron Mike hasn't bulged and has continued his workout and training sessions in preparation for the matchup against Jake Paul. Though possibilities of a trilogy against Evander Holyfield exists, it's generally believed that the match against Jake Paul remains priority as of now. Sadly, in the latest sparring footage released by the baddest man on the planet, he wasn't seen sending warnings to Jake Paul, not showing off his burst of energy, speed, and passion. What happened was most surprising. Mike Tyson was seen receiving first aid from doctors and his trainer, Rafael Cordero, after falling and fainting during his workout session in preparation of the matchup against Jake Paul. This will come as a surpassing and shocking disappointment to many who have hyped Tyson up for the fight and have appreciated his energy and vibrance even at 57 years old. With this, many of those who have tipped Mike Tyson to go on and defy the odds of his old age would be unhesitant to ignore him and push for a win for the problem child. However, this situation has proved those who have emphasized the staggering age difference as an extraordinary and natural obstacle that can't be gainsaid, regardless of how fierce Mike Tyson looked in his training sessions. To them, Tyson couldn't war against such a natural cause as age. There are some things in life you can fight against and deny. Such things aren't so potent, so you could push them aside to concentrate on some other pressing issues. However, there are some others you can't deny, especially when you consider their forcefulness and how strongly they stare at you in the face. One of such things is age. Age is a natural cause that can't be beaten, and it's proven itself in Mike Tyson's latest training and sparring footage. In the footage, Tyson had begun with his lone training, where he would test his punches both with and without gloves against the punching bag. He did this for quite a while, and then he did something many had not seen him do in his recent training sessions: skipping. Tyson then tried out his skipping to keep his hands and feet as flexible and speedy as ever. Afterwards, the baddest man stepped into the ring full of elegance and confidence. Before engaging in a sparring session, he tried boxing the air for a while, and then he went on to spar his trainer, Brazilian Rafael Cordero. They began with the usual training style that's been doing the rounds lately. Cordero was seen with his punching pads, giving Mike Tyson instructions on how to go about his punches. And like he's always done, he went at Cordero with multiple combinations of punches. Thankfully, Cordero, knowing his kind of trainee, never does things like this without adequately kitting up to defend himself. Then, the next aspect was to be on the receiving end of punches. Mike Tyson has once spoken about this particular sparring session, where the aim is to teach boxers to wave punches and avoid them from hitting their targets. Mike Tyson took part in this and was no longer the one dishing out the punches, he was receiving them instead. While he did that, a double combination from one of his training team members hit him on his head and on his body. Initially, he didn't seem to bulge, but the punch had done so much damage that Mike Tyson was soon on the floor in no time.
Oh my God.
few minutes after this, Mike Tyson was unresponsive. He seemed not to move nor respond to countless calls of his name. However, the medical team on ground were soon alerted. They came around, gave the former undisputed world heavyweight champion some first aid, and made him rest for a while. Not too long after, he was fine. He wasn't just fine, but he had continued training again. This leaked footage is what has forced many to esteem Mike Tyson's passion and strength for the sport. While many have grabbed this as enough reason to cue in support of Jake Paul, some others took the positive of Iron Mike bouncing back from his fall and continuing his training session. To them, a man isn't defined by his many failures, but by how quick he is to bounce back after each failure. They appreciated Mike Tyson for bouncing back regardless of the sudden mishap. One of the fans rooting for Tyson said, "I don't care how much you fall in training, legend, as long as you don't fall when you face that idiot in 4 months." Another interested fan said, "This has made me respect Tyson the most. I know it would instill fear in many, but I see a man who's not giving up here." One fellow who seemed to have staked so much for a Tyson win said, "Stay up, my legend. Fall as many times as you can now. No stories on July 20th. We're going for the kill." One more surprised fellow had this to say, "Honestly, I never thought Tyson could come this far. He started his camp early enough, and this is just an effect of that. Think of it as him having 3 more months to get used to this. Jake Paul is finished." Without doubts, there are 2 sides of a coin, and whenever you flip it, you see something entirely different from what you've seen earlier. While these ones could draw some positivity from Mike Tyson's fainting, others see no light at the end of this tunnel. The darkness they see is thick enough to be felt. One pessimistic fellow quipped, "I just knew those training sessions would backfire and we've seen nothing yet. He gets into the ring and he'd be ruined with fatigue from all this. It's a sad way for a legend to go out." One more who cared so much for Mike to see him go through this said, "Can Tyson just stop already? He doesn't need this anymore. It does nothing to him or his legacy. This is killing him. Even the training sessions are risky to his health. The authorities shouldn't allow this fight anymore." Well, a fellow came with the most shocking response, inconsiderate of Tyson's reputation and exploits. Expectedly, it's a fan of Jake Paul, she said. Jake Paul would teach this amateur a lesson. When boxers grow old, they go back to being amateurs. 2 weak punches from his trainer have done this. How much will one from Jake Paul do? Tyson must have been lucky to escape his collapse, and he may need another lucky push when he fights against the problem child in 4 months' time. Many other boxers, younger and more vibrant than Mike Tyson, have had similar experiences in recent times, and some have failed to come out of such experiences alive. A promising young Scots boxer told of the terrifying moment he suffered a collapsed lung as he prepared for an upcoming fight. Gregor McPherson of Aberdeen was rushed to hospital after suffering unexplained chest pains late October last year. The 19-year-old, nicknamed Mean Machine, initially thought he had suffered a minor injury when he started feeling chest pains, but he was rushed in for an emergency operation at Aberdeen Royal Infirmary the same day. The operation, which saw medics cutting into his side and leaving him bedridden, meant he would be out of action as he pushed towards recovery. Speaking positively, he was seen claiming he will come back stronger than ever in a few months. He said, "I was gutted, but I'm getting better, so I just need to take it easy. I felt chest pains at about 9 a.m., so I kept on going through my day as I normally would, working, training, but when I was training, I had to stop because I could barely breathe. I was finishing my day and I decided to go up to the hospital to see what the problem was. After hours of waiting, I got rushed through to resuscitation and had an operation straight away as I had a collapsed lung. It was a scare, to be honest. I wasn't expecting that, and I was kept in for 4 days. I had to stay awake while they were operating and had a tube inside me trying to get the air out of my lung. It was pretty scary. I train 3 times a day, so fitness is never a problem. When I was shadowboxing for even 3 minutes, I was really feeling it, so I just knew that something wasn't right. At first, I just thought I'd maybe pulled a muscle in my chest or something, and it wasn't that severe, so I was contemplating just going to sleep and seeing if it was still sore. They cut into my side and they put a tube in my lung which was connected to a basin of water which would take all the air out of me so my lung could refill. McPherson made his professional debut at the Seaside City's Beach Ballroom last November. He beat Birmingham's Logan Paling on points over 4 rounds and went on to claim a number of other wins. But his next fight was canceled and he now faced an extended period of rest, hoping he can be back to full fitness in a few months. He added, "The doctor said it would now be 6 to 8 weeks of just doing nothing, and once that is up, I'm allowed to train very lightly. I'm gutted, but your health comes first. I'm so bored just now. I'd love to train just now, but I know that if I do that, there is a big risk it could happen again. McPherson may have been lucky with his, but it was worse for someone else, who couldn't come out of such an experience alive." A popular Australian boxer died in November 2019 after a freak accident during a sparring session. Dwight Ritchie, aged 27 years, collapsed while training in Melbourne with light middleweight Michael Zerafa, 27, for a match next month. The father of 3 had been sparring in Melbourne with Michael Zerafa when he took a shot to the body. After getting hit with a body shot, Ritchie reportedly walked over to his corner, fell over, and could not be revived. His promoter, Jake Ellis, confirmed the news on Facebook. "It is with great sadness and shock to announce that the fighting cowboy Dwight Ritchie sadly passed away today doing what he loved," his statement read. Dwight will always be remembered by the boxing fraternity as one of the brightest talents in Australia whose fighting style embodied how he lived. As Dwight's promoter and friend, it's unbearable to accept the tragic news that's just surfaced, added Ellis on Facebook. Boxing commentator Ben Damon told Fox Sports News that Zerafa was devastated by the loss of his close friend. For him to end a sparring session with a body shot and his partner to head back to his corner and then to collapse, it was just devastating for Michael and everyone else. Ritchie, a super welterweight, was born in Shepparton in northern Victoria and overcame cancer twice as a young child, the New York Post reported. He is survived by his 3 children. Ritchie lost twice in his 21-fight career, most recently against Tim Tszyu when they fought for the IBF Australasian Super Welterweight title in August. The tragedy followed the death of American boxer Patrick Day a month before that, 4 days after suffering a brain injury in a fight against Charles Conwell. Ritchie lost by a unanimous decision to Tszyu, but was due to return to the ring next month for a light middleweight fight against Tommy Brown. His death sparked a flood of tributes from local boxers on social media. "Today we lost one of our own," Australian professional and Olympian Luke Jackson wrote on Twitter. "I remember having my professional debut on Dwight's card, sending my love to his family, loved ones, and the whole of boxing Australia. His most recent fight in August saw him miss out on the IBF Australasian Super Welter title in a unanimous decision to Tim Tszyu." Tszyu posted on Facebook, "Today, we lost a champion both in and out of the ring with the tragic passing of Dwight Ritchie. As a group, we are all shattered. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the Ritchie family as we all take a moment to remember a great warrior and champion, gone too soon." Zerafa was preparing for a rematch with Jeff Horn, a former WBO and a former WBO welterweight champion, while Dwight was assisting him in preparing when they had their sparring session. In both cases, one fact is however noticeable, that it isn't really about the age. Virtually anyone could experience a collapse after being hit in a sparring session, and that exactly was the case with Mike Tyson. Anyone, literally anyone, could have experienced exactly the same incident. This was further backed up by Tyson's trainer, who was present at the scene and has tried to stop every storm that may be raging as regards Mike Tyson's most recent tragedy. Cordero said, "It wasn't much of a scare. It's pretty normal. He took a hit at the wrong place and that was what happened. Even if this hit was taken 20 years ago, he'll most likely still feel the same way." He then boasted of Mike Tyson's strength and ability to put tragedies behind him. "Tyson's no soft guy. He's very tough and strong. Once he was revived, he had some juice and kept firing. He resumed training and was ready to do more. That's Tyson for you. So, this should create no fear. It's quite a normal incident and we've moved past it."
Oh, 100%. No one failed more than I did. I deserved all the credit I received. Nobody's seen more than I've seen. None of these fighters, none of these athletes. I'm the king of the barbarian.
Regardless of what many think, Tyson's fainting and falling has little or nothing to do with the bout against Jake Paul, as it isn't the first time Mike Tyson has come out of a huge setback to change the narrative. Even Evander Holyfield had back-to-back victories against Mike Tyson in one of the lowest points of his career, where he had many losses in a few matches. Tyson was tipped for the win until the unexpected happened. Tyson especially had had so many crises and bounce backs that his matchup against Jake Paul might just be one of his routine comebacks after experiencing a damaging setback. One of such matches was his fight against Peter McNeely. The bout between Mike Tyson and Peter McNeely, billed as He's Back, was a professional boxing match contested on August 19, 1995. The match marked the return of Mike Tyson to professional boxing after over 4 years away due to his 1991 arrest and subsequent conviction for rape in 1992, which led to Tyson serving 3 years in prison. Before his stint in prison, he was to face Evander Holyfield, but his conviction changed the narrative shortly before the match. The baddest man on the planet was arrested for the rape of 18-year-old Desiree Washington. He was subsequently convicted on February 10, 1992, and then sentenced to 6 years in prison on March 26th. After serving 3 years, Tyson was paroled on March 25, 1995, and on March 29th, he would hold a short press conference that would announce his return to boxing. After much debate over who would be Tyson's first opponent in his comeback, including talks about a potential super fight with George Foreman, it was announced that Tyson would face little-known Peter McNeely on August 19, 1995. Surprisingly, despite Tyson's rustiness off the boxing ring, the fight lasted only 89 seconds, with Tyson earning an easy victory via disqualification. McNeely started the fight by aggressively attacking Tyson as soon as the opening bell rang. Tyson was able to avoid McNeely's wild punches and land a straight right that dropped McNeely to the canvas less than 10 seconds into the fight. After taking referee Mills Lane's standing 8 count, McNeely was allowed to continue and again continued his assault on Tyson. The two men exchanged punches in the corner as the first minute of the round passed. Less than 20 seconds later, Tyson landed a right uppercut that again sent McNeely down. With McNeely clearly hurt from the exchange, his manager Vinny Vecchione entered the ring to prevent McNeely from taking any more damage, causing Lane to end the fight and award Tyson the victory by disqualification. Mike Tyson had returned to boxing after a 3-year prison stint with an 89-second victory over Peter McNeely. After his victory, Tyson's rank as the #1 ranked heavyweight was restored by the 3 major boxing organizations, the WBA, WBC, and International Boxing Federation. But before he could fight for one of the 3 world heavyweight titles, he had to first partake in a second comeback fight. Only days after his victory over McNeely, it was announced that he would face the undefeated but virtually unknown Buster Mathis Jr. on November 4th, 1995 at the MGM Grand Arena. 3 weeks before the fight, Tyson suffered a broken thumb, but did not announce it until November 1st, 3 days before the fight. In a press conference at the MGM Grand, Tyson announced the cancellation of the fight because of the injury. Then, on November 22nd, it was announced that the bout had been moved to Atlantic City with a December 16th date in place, and that Showtime would air the fight instead of Fox. In the fight, Tyson had a relatively slow start, and in the first round, Tyson was unable to land many punches as Mathis was able to dodge most of Tyson's attempts, while also staying close to Tyson to prevent Tyson from unloading his power punches. In the second round, Mathis successfully continued to use his defensive strategy of slipping, bobbing, and clinching to survive the round. However, with about 40 seconds left in round 3, Tyson was able to land successive right uppercuts that dropped Mathis to the canvas. Mathis was unable to answer the referee's 10 count, and Tyson was awarded the victory via knockout. It's been claimed that Tyson wasn't strange to such mishaps like this. July 20th is 4 months away, and that's so much time to recover from an event of seconds or minutes. Tyson, being who he is, will be looking to rise from his ashes of pain and defeat and do the unimaginable against Jake Paul. The problem child would, however, be paying keen attention to the leaked footage to observe the areas he could hit to ensure Tyson not only gets knocked out, but faints for the second time in the ring. That's all for now. If you enjoyed watching this video, kindly react by clicking the like button below. For the very best and latest news, matches, moments, and actions in the world of boxing, ensure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and don't forget to turn on notifications to keep getting alerted when we drop quality contents like this.